everybody, and welcome to our new video for R&B reviews. And for those of you that are new or fans coming back, I'm Rob.
I'm Brendan.
And since Last Airbender came out a few weeks back, we decided that we're going to sit down and talk about M. Night Shyamalan's films. And Brendan, I'll be honest with you, up until last month, I had not seen any of M. Night Shyamalan's films, so I was watching just about all his films like practically back to back in the order they came out, and it was quite an interesting experience to see how well he started out in the beginning and how he kind of got lost a little bit as his films went on.
Yeah, well, no filmmaker, they're not going to hit it out of the park every single time, but I agree with you. A lot of people kind of thought after Sixth Sense and Unbreakable that he was going to be a huge breakout filmmaker, and his movies have just kind of gone down in quality in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah. And now a lot of people will say Sixth Sense is like, well, it's his first big film, but he's been making films before that. His first film was called Praying with Anger from 1992. It was an independent film, and unfortunately I could not find a copy of this movie, so that's the only film I haven't seen from him. But the next film he did that I saw was Wide Awake, which is from 1998, and this is weird. This is not a supernatural thriller. It's a coming-of-age story, and it's about a boy named Josh who goes on a search for God after his grandfather dies because he wants to make sure he is all right. That's a film you haven't seen yet.
I haven't seen it. I've only heard about it from you.
Okay, well, I think this along with Praying with Anger is one of his more forgotten films. Rosie O'Donnell is in this movie, and she's cast as Josh's sports-obsessed fifth-grade teacher. He's going to a Catholic school, and I think this is probably one of the best performances I've ever seen her give. And this film, it has, like many of his later films, it's got nice, subtle moments, as well as some funny ones that I could relate to. Like there's a weird kid that nobody wants to hang around with, and there's people that want to be your friend, but you don't want to be friends with them. And to me, I thought Josh's mission, he seemed honest. He gives a very good performance. He's not too sugary like you see with a lot of kids' films today. And there were some nice scenes that showed the relationship between Josh and his grandfather that I really loved. They had some tenderness and gentle about it. The film is deliberately paced, and some people may find it slow, but I liked it. It's one of my two favorite Shyamalan films, this and Sixth Sense. And my teen sister, here's the thing, my teen sister walked in when I was starting to watch it, and I didn't think she was going to be able to sit through, but she said she liked it when the movie was over. She stayed right through it. And one more thing, the DVD cover, it makes it look like it's a crazy comedy because Rosie O'Donnell's on the cover, she's wearing a sports cap, the kid playing Josh is standing next, and it's not really a crazy, bizarre family film, it's a coming-of-age film, and I think this movie was given a limited release because I know in an interview on the Sixth Sense DVD, Shyamalan said that this movie didn't make a lot of money, so I'm guessing it was in limited release, but if you haven't seen Wide Awake, or if you guys haven't seen Wide Awake, check it out, give it a shot. I loved it. So, all right, now Sixth Sense. What are your thoughts on the Sixth Sense, Brendan?
Sixth Sense is, it's kind of like everyone else. That's how I heard about Shyamalan. And, of course, I heard about the twist ending before I heard about the movie itself. It kind of got ruined for me. So when I eventually did see the movie, I really appreciate it. I think it's a very well shot, very suspenseful horror film. And
they had creative way of doing shots. Like there's the scene where Bruce Willis' character and his wife, they're having a conversation, and it's reflected through the TV and the award he won, so that was awesome. That was pretty good there.
Yeah, there's many great small things. I particularly love how they approach, the ghosts in it. I mean, at first it seems like, it's all from the boy's point of view, so you're very intimidated by the ghost. It seems very menacing at first. And by the end of the movie, it's just that, they're just normal people. The movie kind of settles you into that.
Yeah.
And it's a very different kind of, ghost film if you look at something like The Shining or Poltergeist or something like this. And this is a boy who has a rare gift that, he can see the dead all around him.
And speaking of the twist, I didn't know what the twist was, but for years, ever since it came out, everyone's like, oh man, the twist, it's going to blow your mind. And when I popped it into the DVD player, about 20 minutes in, I'm like, okay, I think I know what the twist is. And the twist came, and I was right. But there were some things that kept me into the film, and,
I think when you're set up for a twist, when someone tells you there's a big twist on the movie, I think you're a little more analytical when you're watching it. You're paying attention to a lot more stuff because you're trying to figure out, okay, so what is the twist ending?
Yeah, I paid attention really close, like you said. Here's the weird thing. I think Shyamalan, there's themes that seem to be coming back here. They're like spirituality, Philadelphia, obviously, and Catholic Church, because when he was a kid, even though he's not Catholic, his parents sent him to a Catholic school, and that popped up once in a while, like in Wide Awake here. There's a deleted scene in Unbreakable where Willis is talking to a Catholic priest, and there's a lot, you begin to notice these
signs, the main characters, as priests.
Yeah, and the film had a very good moody atmosphere, and I loved that. And the actors were pretty good. Like, the scene where Willis and Osmond are in the hospital, that was really good acting from them both. I really loved that. That was a strong.
Willis during the entire movie is great. It was great, and especially Haley Joel Osment, for a child actor, really doesn't get on your nerves, and you really do sympathize for him during the movie.
Yeah.
And particularly with him helping the ghosts, I think ended up being great. Him giving them, I guess, final closure in a way.
Yeah, and at this point in his career, I think Shyamalan was very good with child actors. This and Wide Awake, not so much later in his films, but here he was really good at it, and he was being very creative. And this film, I talked about how Wide Awake was slowly paced. This one wasn't quite as bad pace-wise. It does move at a somewhat of a slow pace, but the pictures, the story, and the moody atmosphere kept me hooked in.
I agree with you. It's one of those movies that you benefit from multiple viewings, seeing it from different points of views. But it's a good movie. If you know the twist, you already know what the whole film builds up to.
Next up is Unbreakable. Now, this one I didn't quite like as much as the first two films. Like, I didn't like how the opening scene was shot. The camera just kept going back and forth between Willis and this woman on the train, and it just got tedious. And I didn't think this movie was going to be interesting at first, but I guess over time I started to like it a little bit more.
Unbreakable is probably my second favorite, if not my favorite Shyamalan movie. Period. I think it's a very sort of overlooked superhero movie in a way. I mean, it's a very, I guess I want to say, very realistic and grounded superhero movie.
Yeah.
And you really don't expect that from the outside. And both Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson are terrific in this movie.
Yes,
Samuel L. Jackson especially as Mr. Glass. It was a very sort of tortured character, and you're not exactly sure what's going on with him until that last scene.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't want to jump into spoilers here, but his performance particularly stuck out. I mean, he had a wild character in this. The sort of the comic book store, it's because it's comic book art collector.
Yeah, like there's a great scene where this guy's looking over a rare picture, and Elijah, that's the name of the character, is about to sell it to this guy. That was a really great scene. But yeah, I can understand about it being underrated. It's not a supernatural thriller, really. It's more like a drama.
Yeah, exactly. It's a drama. It's all about, Bruce Willis's character sort of, finally being confronted with this ability he's had his entire life that he's in this sort of has hid from everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think my problem with it was, I did approach it like it was going to be like one of Shyamalan's supernatural films, but I felt like the end was just not quite as strong as the rest of the film. I thought the middle and maybe a tad bit of the beginning really held my interest, but then when it got to the ending, I felt like it was starting to become a tad bit ludicrous. It kind of got a little ludicrous.
No, my philosophy with movie endings is, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey with movies. And, this movie, I think, compared to Sixth Sense, I think Bruce Willis... I was much more engaged with his character in this movie. I mean, he really felt for me. He was definitely a beaten down guy, and his relationship with his son was what I felt was the real, sort of center of the movie.
Yeah, because the son is looking up to his dad like Bruce. Everyone is comparing him to a superhero, and Bruce is like, "No, I'm not a superhero." And his son's like, "Yes, yes, you are." And there's a real tense scene where he's gonna test his dad with his own weapon because he's a security guard. I'm like, "Whoa!" And now that was real intensity. That had
shoot his own father, to go that far to prove it.
Yeah, to prove it. So
and not to mention he's in the middle of a rocky marriage, anyways. I mean, the movie definitely had a lot going on, and that's another theme that pops up in Shyamalan movies is marriages.
Yeah,
it's a huge thing, and also relationships with children. He's always been really big on his children.
Okay.
Should we put a bumper on it?
Yeah. Okay, guys. It looks like we're out of time, and we still got many more films to go through. So it looks like we're gonna have to split this up into more parts. So. Thank you for watching. So if you want to leave your comments about Wide Awake or The Sixth Sense or Unbreakable, go ahead and do that. And then the next video we'll talk about the next few Shyamalan films. So thank you very much for watching and stay tuned.